Welcome to the Lair, a place where interesting people you may know tell you things you didn't. So grab a chair and your favorite vice and get comfortable. There are no rules in the Lair, but there is Laura Babcock. You know her from TV, and she is not into media monogamy. Let's find out who else is in the Lair.
So, we get a lot of people in the Lair cast who have different backgrounds. A couple of people who have their own pages on Wikipedia. We were talking to Boris Broad earlier this evening. He's a successful musician by all standards. You, though, have had, I like to say I've had a couple of careers. You've had 3 significantly different careers, right? Rock star back in the day with Svengali. Yes. Currently playing with Forgotten Rebels as a bassist.
Correct.
So you're a rock star by day, or by night, I guess. You went into film as a director of photography and also into doing videos, music videos.
Only because I needed a job. Yeah.
Only because you needed a job, right? After being an international rock star.
School, so.
Right. So because you needed a job, and ended up winning East Coast Music Awards for Great Big Sea. You won a Juno Award with, what was that band? With the Juno Award. Yeah, he's trying to think. Was it the Juno that we were up for when I was with Svengali or when I was a producer? So on both sides of it. Won a lot of awards, and now you're an investor who gets articles in magazines on your investment advice because you have a couple $1 million real estate portfolio in Canada, and you're telling people how to have, a bunch of different lenders. So rock star, music video and film, and then we're into investing.
It's all creative.
You say it's all creative, but you're going to have to make the argument for me on the investing side because you're wearing a pinstripe jacket, right?
I know.
So you don't look like the rock band guy. But we are going to put up on laircast.com the pictures of you in Svengali because really, it was a certain genre in the day, that glam rock kind of Skid Row, kind of Motley Crue kind of look.
It was 80s rock.
It was 80s rock, and you fit the bill. You toured at the time with Svengali, with Def Leppard.
Correct.
So if you don't mind, and one of our friends here at the Laircast so wanted to hear this interview, but he hasn't been able to show up yet. I'll let him listen to it later, of course. Tell me what it was like, first of all, to start Svengali, which started here in Hamilton.
We started at Bannisters in Hamilton in 1987. I had just basically left school because rock and roll at the time is what I wanted to do. So I was playing in a John Cougar clone band with a gentleman named, I was 17 years old.
Wow.
And
What year was this? Can you give it?
It'd have to be 86.
Wow.
So we went to Thunder Bay with the band, and I met a girl, and I ended up touring the United States of America by the time I was 18.
Doing John Cougar Mellencamp?
No, doing a band called Royalty. She ended up becoming the lead singer of a famous band called Vixen.
Really?
For the United States of America.
Get out. So you dated the lead singer of Vixen?
I did, and we actually got married when I was young. So.
Sit. You want to sit down. Who's your friend? Who's the 7-foot-tall guy whose name you won't tell me?
That's my lawyer is telling me, you gotta watch what you say. You're gonna
watch what you say. Here, come on, please. What are you gonna say? Who's gonna listen? Is that seriously your lawyer?
No, we had a meeting earlier, so he just came.
Okay. I was gonna say.
So
you dated the lead singer and married a Vixen.
She came from a very wealthy family, and we ended up having a pretty successful band before she was in Vixen, and we traveled a lot. We ended up playing in probably 40 states. So by the time I was just over almost 19, we had broken up, and I found myself at a bus stop in I think it was on the other side of Sault Ste. Marie, and Teenage Head was playing, the band Teenage Head from Hamilton.
Yeah.
And Dario, my guitar player, who ended up becoming the guitar player in Svengali, was playing with Frankie Venom from Teenage Head.
Yeah.
And I called up Dario on the phone and said, I need a ride back to Canada. So he drove over the border and picked me up, and we decided I was going to join Teenage Head with a band called Frank and the Vipers, but Frankie and I didn't get along, and Frankie's dead now. Wow. He was in a very famous band called Teenage Head.
Yeah.
So Dario and I came back to Hamilton, and we decided that we wanted to put a band together. So Dario left Frankie Venom, and we put Svengali together.
Wow. So hold on, just a couple of things. Rob, was Frankie the guy that we thought we saw down by the hospital looking really sick that day?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we saw him, and
Yeah.
he said, I think that's Frankie from Teenage Head.
Frankie has a gold record. They were a very, very famous
He
band.
looked really
Teenage Head
pale
was
and-
great.
Fucking
And so
That's the official endorsement of Teenage Head.
the two bands back in that era were the Forgotten Rebels and Teenage Head.
Right, yeah.
And that's why I play in the Forgotten Rebels now, just as a fun thing.
So bring me back. So you broke up with, is she now your wife? Or was
No,
this way
no,
back
no,
then,
it's
back in the day?
way back then.
So
Long
were you already married when you broke up? Or was this before you got married?
No, we were married, yeah.
Okay, so you were married at what age?
18.
I was going to say, because
Yeah.
if you broke up by 19 and you're at a bus
Yeah,
stop, I'm just trying to get the
young in
chronology.
love, and it
Well,
was-
you were
we were going
you
to
were
travel
rock-
the world and have a big rock band,
Well,
right?
you were rock stars, right?
It was
And she went on to do Vixen after
yeah, and I
that.
went on to, we both went on to have successful gold records.
Yeah, so she did Vixen, and at that bus stop moment, you decided that you got into Svengali and
yeah,
started that.
I was the bum at that point. So
Why did you decide the name Svengali?
it's an old John Barrymore movie. Svengali used to control someone or to have control over, and we really loved the movie. It was a classic movie. And we just thought it'd be a great name for a band. So we watched the movie one night and we decided we're going to name the band Svengali. So we started playing clubs. We became the #1 club act in Canada as an original band, not as a cover band.
But isn't Teenage Head and Forgotten Rebels more punk? And
They were,
you
yeah,
You
we
guys
were glam.
glam rock. You were.
It's
So did you sell out to do Svengali, or what
no,
was the
Svengali
music
was a
like?
real glam band. We were really in that era. We were probably Canada's first glam band. I would think that
Yeah, I
came
think
out
so
of
too,
Canada
to think about it.
at the time. We used to jump on. We were at the point before we had a record deal. We could get on an airplane and go sell out Winnipeg.
Really?
Yeah.
But you were doing most covers at
And
the beginning.
we started doing all originals at that point.
Okay.
So we got signed. Actually, Gene Simmons came up, tried to put an offer in on Svengali. We turned him down. Then we had RCA.
you met-
then BM.
But hold on. You can't just drop, oh, Gene Simmons wanted to
Well-
hire me. Did you meet Gene? What was
Yeah,
that like?
we had a meeting. We did a showcase. He came out and seen the band. He wanted to put an offer in, but it was a real lowball Hollywood offer.
Yeah.
So then Capitol Records came to us and
But tell me a little bit about Gene. What was he like? Was he as
we
obnoxious
didn't
a
meet for
person?
him. No, it was very, very business-like.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't like, hey, let's go out and start partying. And he
Yeah,
didn't
he's a
drink.
business
And-
guy.
Yeah, we just went. We had a meeting, and we
So you turned him down because he was lowball.
we didn't like the offer. So then Capitol Records out of Canada came in with a record deal. So we said, okay, we'll think about your record deal, because we were really high on ourselves because we were the first glam band and we were selling out shows. And
Yeah,
we ended up with Motley Crue's manager, Doug Thaler.
yeah.
So basically, before the whole Motley Crue Doug Thaler thing, we told Capitol Records, we'll actually think about your offer. Can you give us some money? And we were really young. We were like 19.
I was going to say, what gave you the cojones to
We
turn
just-
down Gene Simmons and negotiate with Capitol Records?
And we just did. And we
I'm
took
just saying.
we took the money and we gave him a demo tape, and we used the money to hire a tour bus. So we bought this tour bus, and we took a one-way tour bus to LA, Sunset Strip, not knowing how we were going to get home.
Wow, isn't that the dream?
Amazing. So we get off. It's total Rock of Ages. I was just in New York City with my wife, and we went to Rock of Ages, and I'm watching the play on Broadway, and I'm going, I can't believe this is my life. Sunset Strip, 1990, and it was so funny.
So share it with me. What was it like? I mean, I've been to Sunset Strip,
was
but not
just
as
fun.
a
We
rock
became-
band who just jumped off a bus.
We became the #1 club act in LA, in Hollywood, and there was millions of bands. So to become
Your lawyer is saying I'm not worthy. Who is this guy? Just introduce him to me already.
to become a very big successful club act in LA, because there was so many bands at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time.
for sure.
We were playing the China Club and the
Isn't that how
Troubadour.
Motley Crue started out
Yeah,
too?
exactly. Yeah.
And did you do the stuff that they used to do in their apartment on the Sunset
No,
Strip?
we didn't do that. No.
That was a big don't talk about that.
So we ended up getting an offer, and we played the China Club in LA.
That would be a big yes for those of you listening.
Yeah. We played the China.
See, it's a podcast. I have to interpret body language.
Some of it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember
Yes.
all of the stories, but we're playing
Because of, what was the big drug at the time?
I don't know. I don't remember any
Well,
drugs.
I'm just saying, it's a Coke thing. It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's the 80s.
There was a lot of radio station people that did coke, and a lot of
For sure.
celebrity people, but that's.
But you were just the #1 band on the Sunset Strip.
We were
You
on
didn't-
Sunset
You
Strip.
didn't touch drugs.
No,
'cause why
we were
would you?
Canadian. We didn't know what drugs were.
Okay, so a whole lot of weed. Okay, so there was a whole lot of weed.
So we're playing the China Club, and we finally get a call. We got a call from our manager, who was managing Motley Crue and Bon Jovi at the time. He said, "You guys have a showcase at the China Club." RCA Records flew in. Bob Jameson. Bob Jameson signed Bon Jovi. He was one of the hit men, one of the big-time players in the industry.
Yeah.
So we ended up liking this deal with RCA and BMG Canada, kind of international, worldwide
Yeah, it's a
record
pretty
deal.
sweet deal for a bunch of guys who showed up in a bus
Yeah.
and nowhere to go.
So basically, we turned down Capitol Records at the time, and they were really, really unhappy with us.
I bet.
We basically used their money to get to LA to get another record deal. I mean, they knew about it. It was all fun. It's funny, you know, later on in my next career as a film director, the vice president of Capitol Records, it's funny how things
Yeah, how they
come
work
around
out, eh?
full circle. I'm doing a Davenant Doyle. Remember Davenant Doyle?
Yeah.
Shooting a music video for Davenant Doyle. And we're at Botanical Gardens, and we got the whole setup. We're shooting Super 35 mil, and who comes? It's Jody Mitchell, the vice president for Capitol Records, who I turned down a record deal with in 1989, and took their money
Crazy.
and got on a tour bus and went to LA. So he goes, you know, Shawn, I can't believe you're shooting this music video right now. I'm a director.
He remembered you?
Oh yeah, right away. Shawn Maher is directing the video because I just had a
Now,
number
did you
one.
still look like
I look like I look now, pretty much.
you look like you look
Yeah.
now? Because no, you guys saw the picture of him, right? Who was the front man of Motley Crue, the blonde? Is it Nikki Sixx? Is he the
No, that's Vince Neil.
Vince Neil? He had a Vince Neil thing going on.
No, Vince Neil actually patterned his look after
You
Shawn
were telling
Maher.
me that Vince Neil ripped off.
He actually did rip off the Shawn Maher from
So,
Hamilton.
First, tell me who you are.
Absolutely.
And then
My name's James McNeil. I'm counsel for Mr. Maher, and
Is
I'm
he
here just to
is he
clarify
screwing
things.
with me? Is he really your lawyer, or is
Yeah, I am actually.
okay? Because I don't know who comes.
And I'm here to say he did not encroach on anybody's
Deirdre
style.
brought
They
in
encroach
Dalton
on.
Dalton Yindy, so I don't know who the hell I'm talking to.
Well,
Okay.
no, Dalton's a lot more talkative than he normally is. That's quite good. We're impressed with him.
This guy's the best lawyer ever.
That's why I hired.
So he's telling
And he plays
us.
guitar too. Can you believe it?
Yeah, well, for a
no.
punk band apparently, but he won't tell me which one.
That's
so
right. That's for the next podcast.
What's with the next podcast? Everybody's just teasing me. So you're saying that Vince Neil ripped off Shawn?
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
In my view.
In
my
your view,
personal
in your
I
personal
can't
view,
say for sure,
because I have to say that picture of you, I thought that's Vince Neil when I saw it.
Yeah, I think we're the same age, but you know.
Okay.
But anyway, so I'm sitting on the set shooting Davenant Doyle, and here comes Jody Mitchell, and next thing you know, Jody and I went on to shoot another 5 videos together. Sky, McMaster and James, a whole bunch of other
Wow.
great artists, and
You had the number one video at the time in your second
second career,
world.
yeah.
So let's get back to Svengali. So you've got the the crazy jeans, the massive hair.
Yeah.
You've got a deal now, a real deal.
So we
so
basically pack up. We moved to the Playboy Club in Chicago, the old Playboy Club,
did you hear that,
and-
Rob? They moved to the Playboy Club in Chicago.
which was closed
That's
at the
what rock
time.
stars do.
No, but it was closed.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's where Skid,
Okay.
it's where Skid Row did their record. Actually, the Playboy Club in Chicago was closed, and it became a really famous recording studio. Bon
Hmm.
Jovi, Skid Row. So it's called. I can't remember the name of the recording studio. So it had a PGA golf
Sounds
course.
nicer to say the Playboy Club.
It was great.
Okay.
So it was just outside Lake Geneva, Chicago. So we went there and we recorded all the bed tracks for the record.
So you're a kid from Hamilton.
Kid from Hamilton.
Who ended up negotiating with 3 record companies, got a big fat deal, and you
Correct.
show up at the Playboy Club in Toronto to record a record. Okay.
And
I'm just
then
trying
we
to track
finished the
it.
rest of the record in New York City at the Right Track Studios.
Okay.
We came back to Canada. We released it on BMG with a worldwide release, and we actually ended up with a number 1 song right away.
Which was the ballot thing?
No,
or-
under the influence. It went number
Okay.
1 in England, UK.
Do you guys remember that song, Svengali Under the Influence? I wasn't a glam rock fan, I gotta be honest. I was
Yeah,
more
that's
like into
fine.
the Smiths and U2 and stuff like that.
The ballad's the second single that
Which
came
everyone
out,
remembers,
and that's the
right?
one where we ended up on the Def Leppard tour, Pearl Jam.
Okay, so how did you end up on the Def Leppard tour? I need to know.
Oh,
Because I was a fan of Def Leppard in those days.
we had enough record sales, basically, that it just justified. They were looking for a spot. They were doing a large tour across Canada, and we got asked to go on it. So we of course said yes. It was Ugly Kid Joe, Svengali, and then Def Leppard.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So tell me what it was like, because I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the Def Leppard audience was maybe larger than what you guys had been experiencing before.
Yeah, we went from playing like 2,000 seaters to playing in front of 80,000 people a
And that
night.
was the days of like Pour Some Sugar on Me and
Oh, yeah, it was a
Armageddon
stereo
and
tour, yeah.
Those crazy songs. Okay.
So then we milked that, and then we did a...
No, before you talk about milking that, because when you say milking and Def Leppard tour, I have images in my mind.
No,
This is
we
Def
didn't milk
Leppard
it
we're
that
talking
way.
about.
When I say milkage, we just kept touring, and the whole... Like,
But come on.
2
I
years
asked-
went by, and we're still touring.
The first minute I met you and you told me you played with Def Leppard, I said, did they really do what they say they did during the drum solos? Like, was the band really...
No, we were playing soccer backstage.
That's what you told me.
We
I didn't
were.
buy it then. I don't buy it now.
We were playing soccer backstage.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Good Canadian boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What was Def Leppard doing while you were playing
They're
soccer?
playing soccer with us.
Okay.
A lot of heading going on back.
You know, I don't want to get into all the fun stuff.
Oh no, why would we want to get into fun stuff? It's only a podcast.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to know the good stuff.
We had a good time.
Yeah. So, like, when you look back...
I'm married with children now,
Yeah,
so
I appreciate that. But your children will know Daddy was a... Yeah, exactly.
they're 3 and 7.
Your children will know that Daddy was a rock star, and, they know what rock stars do.
They've actually been to a show, because I did a show last year. We did a reunion show with Honeymoon Suite and Svengali
Wow.
in Niagara Falls.
Really?
Outdoor festival. And my kids were there to see the show.
See, I'm a secret Honeymoon Suite fan.
Wow.
They had some excellent tunes.
They did, yeah.
So, when I ask the questions about Def Leppard and the rock style lifestyle, if you were still like some rock stars who were doing it
I'd be
15
dead.
years ago, you'd be dead. Because they didn't do any drugs or women, he'd be dead.
Overexertion
You know what?
with soccer.
Right, says the lawyer.
It was-
Too much
Lots of
soccer.
It was a pretty crazy, we lived in London, England for part of our life. We were on press tours all over Europe. We were released in 57 countries.
Right.
So we weren't just a
So
small
how did you
Canadian.
feel? On a serious note, what's
It was
going on in your head?
you're on a big high. You end up with a gold record, and next thing you know, you're traveling for 4 years of your life, and then you come home and they say, "Okay, boys, music's changed. It's time to do another record." We moved to Seattle, so we ended up going to.
Your fans thought you sold out when you changed from the
we
glam
didn't
rock
actually,
to
you know.
grunge. They thought you were trying to do the Seattle
We
sound.
did it. It just actually happened naturally for our band.
It did? Wasn't it
Because we
sellout
were on
to
the
jump
we
on
were on the
bandwagon?
Pearl Jam tour, and we became friends with Pearl Jam. So
I told you they were with Pearl Jam. You didn't believe me.
So-
It's like, there's no way a glam rock band like
we actually
that would
did.
be on Pearl Jam.
Yeah, we toured with Pearl Jam.
So they had you as Svengali, the glam rock?
No, we
Motley
were kind
Crue
of
thing?
changing at the time.
Ah, okay.
yeah.
So you were kind of
This was
morphing
in
into
the-
grunge.
It was right at the end. We played Sunfest in Winnipeg, a whole bunch of out east during Canada venues with Pearl Jam. We were still Svengali, the glam band, but we weren't as glammy as in the 80s.
But the glam,
This was more 90s.
But your glam fans kind of rejected the...
They did. a
How'd you
little bit.
feel when that happened?
We had to put the record out first and find that happening.
But how did it feel when your fans kind of said, wait a sec, we don't like you in plaid?
You know, when you say how, it was weird because we went from, we never really broke the U.S. on our first record, so we went from selling the same amount of records on our second record. Because the U.S. is so big, we still went gold in Canada on the second record, but it didn't, 50,000 or 60,000 in the U.S. doesn't mean anything, even though we had #1 radio song in Hollywood
So
at the time.
cross this over for me. The glam rock culture. I mean, I love Def Leppard and Bon Jovi and a couple of the big hair bands
But
because
it's very similar.
But what is it? Because
Yeah.
at the time it seemed like it was the polar opposite. Like it seemed like, I mean, I wasn't a headbanger. I wasn't big
a
into
lot of
glam
bands
rock.
kind of transitioned from
Did they?
it.
What
Like
other
Alice in
bands?
Chains was a glam. Alice in Chains was a glam band.
Alice in Chains. Was
They were a glam band. Absolutely, 100%
Are you
Hollywood.
serious?
Sunset Strip, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Because I just sort of saw it as the two was.
a lot
I
of-
saw it as grunge was the reaction to the hair bands.
You
I
know,
didn't
it's
see you could
no, but
kind
there
of be
was
both.
grunge was more punk.
Yeah.
Grunge came from punk. More
Yeah,
than it
yeah,
did.
for sure.
But so did glam. Glam came from the New York Dolls, which is
Did it really?
punk.
I didn't see. I didn't
They
get
both
that.
come from punk, and they both kind of now
Oh.
you look back at it, they're both very
See, I didn't get
close, right?
because I was into punk and I was
Yeah.
into all
So
the
was I,
alternative
you know.
music, and so the glam bands, except for the ones that really were so huge,
Yeah.
like Def Leppard and others, we totally ignored them. So I was just surprised by the sort of transition over. So when you're a glam, it would seem to me though that being a glam band star is more fun than being a grunge rocker.
Oh yeah, I would.
Because even the ladies for the glam bands seem to me to be more fun than
The show's
the
changed.
groupies,
No,
right?
we did the first record, and we're touring with
Am I
some.
wrong here? Don't we think that groupies for glam bands would be more fun than groupies for grunge bands? Yeah, grunge.
Depends what your idea
No,
of
but-
fun is.
I know, like chicks, grunge band groupies don't shave.
When you said ladies, I didn't feel like you participated.
You can participate. Oh, come on. I'm just saying I would prefer my groupies shaved. No, that's a horrible thing to
The
say.
second record was
I'm just saying.
the second record was a great record, but it was very, very deep, and it was a really good record, but it just didn't hit with our audience. So we ended up basically just folding the band. At
So
that
how
point.
do you go from 80,000 people screaming like mental hit cases because of you and because Def Leppard's coming up behind you? How do you go from that, or even the crowds for Pearl Jam, to nothing? What's that like to your brain?
I don't know. You gotta just. I always think that, as Boris said, one door closes and another one opens, and that's absolutely
But
true.
didn't you go from like, we keep bringing up groupies because we associate rock and roll with having
Yeah.
access to everything, right? So you go from having that kind of worship. It's not like you just lost a job; you lost worship. No?
Things just changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you don't
very
notice
zen of
it. You know,
You don't notice
You're
it,
living
really?
it. You're living it. You know it's changing, and
Yeah.
you
But
just
I would
gotta.
think like throngs of screaming girls at my door, or men, or whatever, turning into, "Hey, I'm not in a band anymore," would be a major transition.
Yeah, well, that's why I became a film director.
Okay, so there you go. So, so to get a little bit of that back, you went back into the industry.
No, I needed a job actually, so I started pushing the camera around on film sets in Toronto as a production assistant first.
Not
and
to be
then-
indiscreet, but didn't you get paid well with a gold record and a global tour? I mean, you say you needed a job, but did you really need a job, or you just needed
You
something
know what?
to do?
Being an artist, your first few records in that business really establishes. You really need to get to the next few more
Okay.
after that really establish you to that point.
Okay,
I still get royalty checks and.
but you
and
just
that,
you
but
did
they're-
literally need a job, and so what made you think
I
you
did
could be?
want a job, and so I really liked the film industry because it was artistic, and I
Yeah.
decided I took a job with a small production company called Avion Films in Toronto, and next thing you know, I was pushing cameras around on film sets, and
And did people know that you were of Svengali
yeah,
fame?
it kind of helped, you know.
Yeah, I bet that would
Yeah,
a little
people
bit.
were intrigued by it. So the next thing you know, I had a friend of mine, Rob Hayden. He says, "Shawn, you know, you look like you know what you're doing with the camera." And I only shot a couple of jobs before in my life. And
Why
he
is your
says,
lawyer laughing at this?
because
Are we-
this
are we
is
gonna get
this
to
is
that
a total
territory?
luck.
It's a great story.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's typical Shawn Maher.
So I ended up
okay.
saying, okay, I'll go to Florida and shoot this job for you. So it was a Super 35 mil Panavision job, and I knew enough to get by on the camera to get the job done. I hired a good gaffer, and we go to Florida. I shoot the video. It goes #1, wins a Juno. So I just finished being nominated for a Juno for Best Canadian Artist, and then
For Svengali.
yeah, and 4 years later, I'm being nominated for a Juno again as a director.
So like Boris said, the
Cameraman.
window opens,
The
right?
window
door
opens,
shuts,
yeah.
the window opens.
So basically, it started Sundog Films because after that job, every record label in basically Canada was calling me
Wow.
to go out and shoot their videos. So the next time I'm shooting McMaster and James, Davenant Doyle, Edwin, I Mother Earth, Great Big Sea. You know, a lot of great Canadian bands, Bruce Guthrow, Lenny
think-
Glenn. I did Aaron Lyne's first video. I did
Did your background
wow.
in their
Mudman.
Mudmen.
How
What
long
was-
have you been his lawyer, or are you just
Long
a fan? I was gonna say, like, you know his full biography, man.
So I'm not his
You know
fan.
his-
In fact, he disturbs me.
you know-
Johnny
it's
Reed. You know who everybody knows who Johnny Reed
I have
is.
to be honest, you kind of disturb me. You're like 7 feet tall, man.
Okay.
You know Johnny Reed.
I'm just saying, yes, I do.
I shot
yeah.
his very, very first music video.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
So
it
you must-
actually, it ended up doing very well on CMT.
So did understanding the soul of the musician help you represent
Oh yeah,
it?
when I was dealing with artists, it was just like,
Yeah.
it was amazing because I was in their position, so I know what they're going through. And it's a terrible business, in the sense that record companies back then would seriously try to put I shouldn't say this, but They like to keep
You
the
lawyers having a heart attack. Just say it.
they like to keep the artists at bay,
Yeah.
and they do that
They played
by
hardball,
money, right?
Yep.
So back, I was in the music video days when we would spend a $150,000 budget. I was the director, cameraman, so I'd come up with the creative, and I was the cameraman, so I would be taking 15 points off the top for the job, plus our markup at Sundog Films for.
Where did you learn all of this? I mean, I know now you're a big investor, but where did you learn to talk money like this? Because some artists can't play the business side.
I don't
right?
know.
Like, where does it come from?
I don't know.
Entrepreneurs in your family or
No, not at all.
business people in your family?
Not at all.
Because you know
Nobody.
you wheeled and dealed with Capitol Records and Gene Simmons when you were 19. Then you become a successful video producer and you're taking points off based on this role and that role. And now you're an investor. I'm just trying to figure out where the money side came
Yeah, I
from.
don't know.
Huh.
I really don't.
Can't think of it, eh?
No.
No influences in your life? You weren't super good at math in grade 2?
No, I was terrible at school. I was
Don't tell me
Spicoli.
there's a grade 2 story he can't tell. Just like, Deirdre, do you mind grabbing me some red wine?
No
It's
grade
when
two
you're
stories.
when you're getting-
No grade two stories.
So basically what happened, I was doing a band called Wave. I don't even remember band Wave. They had a big hit called Going to California. It was all over the radio. And then I did a Sarah Slean video. And I was with Warner Music Canada, Steve Blair, the vice president of Warner Music, and we're sitting in Havana, Cuba, and we're shooting a music video. And he's on the beach. Bye, Boris.
Bye, Boris.
Nice to
Bye.
meet you.
Not at all.
Oh, that's okay.
Nice to meet you.
So we used to do, I used to shoot a lot in Havana with a company called RTV, a Havana production company. I loved shooting in Havana because I could do double the budget for half the price.
Is that where you shot that Slayer Sleeve video?
Yes, I did,
Because
yeah.
I know which video it is, and that's a fantastic video.
Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, get into that because.
So I could lock down a whole street in Havana for half the price that I could lock down Toronto. And I got fabulous locations, you know, like buildings that were built in the 1600s and we're using in the Sarah Slean video, and we're using, you know, carnival people that are authentic and using a whole bunch of Cuban extras. It was just great.
I love Havana.
So-
What a great town.
And that was a fun video, but I knew that it was ending the same way I could smell. It was the same taste as when the band was ending, because I knew the budgets. Steve Blair, we're sitting on a beach, we're having a Corona. He says my budgets are going in half next year. Downloading is killing me.
Yeah, I bet.
So I came back to Toronto. I had a #1 video still with my company, with Great Big C. We were putting out the Sarah Slean video. I won an East Coast Music Award at the East Coast Music Awards. It's funny, I didn't even go because I didn't even know I was nominated, because I came back and sold the
Think
company.
you were Anne Murray?
I didn't know. I come back to Canada.
Can I just pause for a second? Like, did you guys know this guy lived in town?
No,
And
not
does
at
that
all.
confess?
I'm just telling you.
Isn't this just the craziest thing? I met him for, he said, he called me up and he said, Laura, I'm a guy named Shawn Maher, and I'm friends with George Ross from The Apprentice, you know, who works with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I want to bring him to town for a charity thing. I want you to help me out with it. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. And he said, well, let me send you a couple of links. So he sends me these links, and I'm like, so who the hell are you? And you're from Hamilton, right? It's craziness. Okay, sorry, I digress.
No, I
okay.
like it. Thanks for coming.
So I came back, basically got rid of the film company right then and there. I walked away from the business on a high, because I've already
On a 80s high or no? I'm just,
no
I'm kidding.
on a good high,
You're
because
lower
A Canadian.
in high.
it just felt like the right time to get
Sorry.
rid of the business.
Your lawyer left for a moment to get you a beer. I had to
Okay,
try to
good.
slip in the high. Sorry,
It felt like
my
a good
bad.
time
Yeah.
to get rid of the business. I knew it was going to change, and I knew, you know, Red Cam was coming, and everybody was shooting HD, and I don't like that format.
Well, you seem
I
very
was a-
pragmatic. You walked away from rock stardom. You walked away from a
I
successful
didn't walk away
company.
from Rockstar. I got taken away from that because
because-
music changed.
yeah, things
Well,
changed.
I wasn't going to have that happen again, and
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
decided
So this time you learned your lesson.
I didn't
this
want to
time-
shoot
yeah.
HD. I didn't want to go the way the industry was going. And now people are shooting these videos for $20,000. I was making $20,000, and
What was the budget on the old school videos?
150.
Really? Eh? Wow.
150. Good money.
Yeah, and some of them
you
are
know,
shooting
and I was
them
doing
for
4 a
less.
month on a good month.
And this is even before YouTube, right? Now people
Yeah.
can just post their own stuff
My
like
last
Bieber
video
and-
was 2004 with Wave and
Wow.
Sarah Slean. I think,
So you.
no, Johnny Reed probably was my last
So
video.
for a guy who had no business background, no money background, you decided to say, well, I had a successful company. earned a bit of money with Svengali. Now I'm going to become an investment guru.
Well, yeah, I've always loved investing, and I got my licenses as a full investment advisor, and my real estate license. So I'm fully licensed as a stockbroker, and I'm fully licensed as a real estate.
So he must have behaved himself with Def Leppard because the brain cells are still highly functioning. They are.
And the insurance designation.
So here's the funny thing, right? Is I'm doing a little bit of research on him, and to find Svengali pics, I'm on like it's called like Rock and Roll Sleaze or Roxy Sleaze or something. So some sleaze site for his band. Yes. right.
Misinterpreted.
I've misinterpreted
Gene
sleaze.
Simmons is quite a business guy too, and he doesn't drink. He
No,
doesn't do drugs.
you're right.
Much
I mean,
like Shawn.
clearly we're all drinking. I couldn't care less
Yeah.
if you drank or did other
I haven't
extracurricular
drank
activities.
in 2 months. so
Yeah,
I'm
well,
just
you know,
loosening
I'm
me
glad.
up.
I'm honored you're drinking at the Lair. To have a former rock star drink in my in my office. I was going to say bar. It's not really an office.
So-
In any event, just one.
Because I saw tequila.
Yeah, you did. Help yourself. It's Patron, I think, isn't it? Not. Oh, you drank it all. Okay. Anyway, my point is that here you are, and you decide, without any of this kind of financial background, not to just invest your money quietly, but to become an investment advisor. So I'm looking at his 3 websites, and his Svengali life is on like Roxy Sleaze site or whatever. His Slez, you've clarified. His second life as a producer is this great production video site, all black, you know, as every other production video site is in the world, with your reels, impressive, good stuff. And then you get to your current manifestation, and you're like a typical investor site. You're standing there in a pinstripe suit looking all ornery and investor-like. It's bizarre. It's like looking at 3 different people. It's not a
But they're all
criticism.
creative elements.
How is real estate investing creative?
Oh,
I mean, right on your new
Real
site.
estate investing is one of the most creative elements.
Okay, but
I
on
bought
your
a
current
building
site, but
last
you've got a
year that
little,
was-
you've got a little RSS feed to the stock market on this current site, right? I mean, I don't. It's a leap for me. Not a criticism, but a leap. So where's the creativity in investing?
Really, investing is all about being creative because
You
it's not the numbers. It's not the numbers. It's
No, it's
Creative
actually
accounting?
Mr. Mahar's analysis of things that you'll find.
I know, right?
Mr. Mahar.
He's actually got a suit. He's in a gray suit too, with like a little 50s tie. It's fantastic.
That's right.
It's like Virgil,
Well,
Virgil, the $1 Million Man.
Well, no, but I'm also the lead singer in a country band.
This is
so-
what I want to know. Okay.
No,
So yes.
we'll talk to you about that later.
Okay.
Sean's ability to analyze the market is creative. It is it is not what I would often hear from people who are, you know, working for the larger investment companies
sure.
and such. He's got his own angle, but it's not something that he's created. It's something that he subscribes to. He's always suggesting things to me that are a little bit different, and
I'm always looking off the wall for stuff, and you know, a lot of my real estate portfolio is older properties that you know
Yeah.
I've bought and cleaned up. I just bought a bunch of property in the Corktown area. I love that, so
Yeah.
I want to kind of start to bring that whole neighborhood around. I want to do a 1940s retro style building. So for me, that's creative. It's
That
the
is
same as
creative.
it's the same as when I'm coming up with an idea. When I first called up Steve Blair from Warner Music Canada, said I'm going to take Alan from Great Big Sea. And I didn't write, everybody in town's writing a proposal, a 50-page synopsis on how they're going to shoot a music video. I pick up the phone and call Steve Blair and say, I'm going to put Alan underwater. We're going to shoot in Cozumel, Mexico. We're going to drop an underwater speaker, and we're going to shoot the whole video on a reef underwater. He says, I love it.
Right.
Come on over, let's talk about it. I walk in, I pitch it in a boardroom. I didn't write it on paper. I didn't do a synopsis. He had 50 synopses on his tables from all these other production companies in the city, but I didn't do it that
But
way.
even
I
to
did it
the-
completely different.
Even to the George Ross event that I'm helping you out with. You know, usually a client will come to me, they don't have a lot of things planned. You start from scratch. You had a good idea. You already had the creative going. You know, you just mention it to people and they want to be involved. So there's obviously a charisma there. There's, as you said, a way of looking at things kind of creatively. And it's doing well for you. An investment. When you say to me that as an investor, your goal is to turn around neighborhoods like the Corktown, to me, I think of investors often as people who just move money around.
It's not true, though. You look at some of the best investors. Look at the Goldman properties out in New York. look at Goldman Properties' website and watch his reel. It's a film website. It talks about how he changes neighborhoods, how he brought Soho to life
Yeah.
in New York City.
Well,
That's
kinda
that's what this is all
that's
about.
kinda
It's
what
not
Trump
about
does too, though,
it's
right?
not about, I'm going to make a whole bunch of money and put up condos with big glass balconies.
But
That's
people-
not what
but
I
a lot
want
of
to do.
people think that,
I don't
though.
even want a balcony on the property I want to do in Corktown. I want a 1940s style. I care about having big space and something that's limestone and cool and different.
See, because a lot of people hear the word development and they think
And
it
they
means
cringe,
money
but that's-
grubbing, cringing.
No, that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
And it's the complete antithesis of what Mr. Maher is about. I mean,
Yeah.
he is, you never meet anybody that's more Hamilton than him. I mean, this guy bleeds Hamilton.
I
It's
love
like,
Hamilton.
it's painful Hamilton when he's
But see,
talking to people.
I can't believe, though, because of all my years yapping
He's-
with everybody in Hamilton, that I just met him a month ago.
I-
Where have you been
You
hiding,
know,
Shawn
I
Maher?
don't know.
you
Well,
know
I was in
Even
Toronto.
higher,
I was in
on the cover of
Toronto.
Billboard,
Okay.
or
I came back from
whatever.
Toronto.
I know, but you know these people, Graham and Deirdre and Tom. I mean, these are people who are literally moving Hamilton daily.
Yeah.
Did you guys know Shawn Maher until tonight?
No, I've looked it up. And
He's
I'm
on the
like,
periphery.
So sorry, I don't.
Changing
But
neighborhoods.
you're really important and wonderful.
Isn't he, though? He is. It's the pinstripes that convinced you and the lawyer by his side, right?
Because he talks about neighborhoods.
Yes.
And that's the movement in this community.
That's what I'm saying. It's
is to
crazy.
Talk about neighborhoods. And you talk. And I was getting it, and I was getting it. You moved from music to this, and that's cool. But then when you said about neighborhoods, I thought, this is ridiculous.
Well,
We're not making
yeah.
this connection with
Yeah.
these folks.
Well, the part of the difference is, from my outside analysis of Mr. Maher, is
Oh my God.
he is.
Who is this
You
guy?
guys are playing this.
I know. It's like I'm watching like a
Just
show.
call me Mr. Mahar. all the time.
No, we're not on a first name basis. I don't like him that
It's
much.
weird. yes, Mr. Mahar.
No,
yes.
this is a guy who grew up in Hamilton, who grew up, in.
Wellington Street.
He grew up in, a bit of a hard scrabble Hamilton, not something that a lot of people experience. So he's born and bred. He breathed this stuff. It's
Lawyer
crazy.
and
He
publicist.
loves it. He loves it.
Yeah.
So let me just say one thing, okay? Because you're a poverty activist, Tom, and I'm sorry, we'll get to you in just a sec. But Graham, when you listen to this, right? We heard Boris Brott saying he wants to be engaged in the city, and he's got his own bona fides. You've got this guy who not only has, all of the fame stuff, but is investing in neighborhoods in the community, and there is a disconnect. And we'll talk about this when I have you guys in next
I
in the
brought
chair.
Canadian Real Estate Wealth magazine, and they did a story on Hamilton. They did a 4-page story, no, not the one you read, but one
Yeah.
just before January, on how I built the portfolio in Hamilton. And that magazine goes in every Shoppers Drug Mart across Canada.
So
and
you're-
I have investors calling me from Vancouver now,
It's crazy.
trying to get me to help them buy properties in
And
Hamilton.
he's the only guy who could get somebody to lend to him when he was buying properties in the North End that nobody
let
would
me
lend
guess,
on.
Buying the properties in the North End.
How
when I
well
first
does
came here for
economic development know who you are? Do you hang out with Neil Everson and those guys?
No, he doesn't. He
just do my
develops.
own
He doesn't.
Yeah, see, this kills me.
Well, and, I think if one thing tonight has taught me is we need to round up other than the usual suspects.
Don't we?
Yes, we do, because they're here.
Isn't it crazy?
It's fascinating to listen, and
So
Boris.
you have two of the biggest activists for poverty sitting here. They're up next, and I know you've actually put some money on a charitable cause. You showed me one building that you've done. I think was it for a women's shelter or?
Yeah, I'm working with Hamilton Mental Health Society right now.
Right,
I
that's
just
what-
bought a building in Corktown last year, and a part of that building I'm working with them, and it's a fabulous building now. I bought it, and no one wanted the building. Bob Bertina, I was fixing it up, and Bob's knocking on the door because he lived in the neighborhood at the time, and I opened the door, and it's Bob, and he says, "Oh, thanks a lot. This is a great neighborhood."
Yeah.
And
Oh, your lawyer's saying
it's all
don't
good.
talk about the mayor.
no,
Don't go
but
too far because I
no,
want to
but-
air this.
No, but Bob was really happy, and we've had no turnover in that building for a whole year. Everybody's happy. It's a clean building now. It's been rebranded. I mean, the mailman wouldn't go to this building when we bought it. So, and I'm not joking.
Well, you know what? I love that you're doing the work that you're doing, and I'm glad that people in Hamilton are getting to know you here in the studio and on the Lair cast.
And George Ross he's 84, and he does a lot for charity.
He's 84?
84.
He
yeah.
does not look 84 on The
Yeah.
Apprentice. Well, we're going to meet him on
We're
June
going to
12th.
meet him, and he's coming to
town.
Hamilton, and he's a great guy.
He's a dynamo.
I can't wait
that
to
guy.
meet him, and I know you told me he doesn't want to even fly business class.
He is flying. Economy. I tried to push him on Porter like 2 days ago. I called him.
And he hangs out with Donald Trump all day, and he's flying economy.
He flies in private jets. He's flying to Hamilton on economy, and
Well-
he's very, very, very adamant about it.
Oh, well, I can't wait to meet him. And the fact that
Yeah.
you met him at an event and became best friends says
We
a lot
only-
about your charisma.
We just met, and the next thing you know, I said, I'm going to be in New York City next week. He said, come by the Trump Organization. We'll go to lunch. I said, okay. So I go by, and next thing you know, I'm sitting with Donald's daughter and Donald and the whole family. And I'm like, wow, this is strange. This is out of a movie. That's typical of my life, though. It's always been like
Dude,
this.
it totally sounds like it. So I can't wait to bring George to town, and I think there's more Laircast in you without your lawyer next time. As much
Good luck.
As much as I love you, ixnay on the lawyer, eh? I mean, Jesus. Okay. Thanks, Shawn. Good job. Well done.
Chats in the Lair is a Power Group production. Visit us at powergroup.ca or laircast.com, or check us out on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.